So let's just say we had to go out and, as a district, hire financial consultants just to help. Just to say, look at these numbers, look at our class sizes, look at the things that we're concerned about, and look at these reasons why we need to make these decisions. It wouldn't be in our budget. We don't have a budget for that.
Between them, the three financial minds in LA United, Jeff Carpenter, Steve Testa, and Greg Tansey, manage about $500 million in money every year. These three men have generously come together and offered real solutions to our district, free of charge. If they'd been operating as consultants, they could have charged thousands and thousands of dollars for their expertise, but they offered it up willingly to help our district figure out how we could preserve schools and also act with extraordinary fiscal responsibility.
My name is Jeff Carpenter. I'm Vice President of Operations at Brooks Automation, which is a semiconductor company that produces equipment. We run about a $250 million operation with a factory here in Portland, Oregon, as well as in Wuxi, China. And I got engaged in this school budget issue because I read through all of the material back in late December, early January, and just couldn't make sense of shutting down 35% of our elementary schools to save $1.5 million. So over the last 2 or 3 months, I've really spent a lot of time looking into the budget, into the details of the budget. I've hand entered over 6 years of data and done a lot of financial analysis on it. Spent a lot of time with Stuart Ketzler and Dr. Korach reviewing, as well as with Bill Swindells of the board. And I've come to my own conclusion that there's simply a better way to balance the budget than to close 35% of the schools. I've put a proposal together, presented it to several board members and administration officials, and basically we can get about $1.3 million out of closing Bryant and reducing the unnecessary staff that is gained by the efficiency of managing the elementary K through 6 on the south side with one fewer schools. It's clear to everyone that we do have underutilization of schools on the south side. We have 5 small schools and a smaller population than the north side, and 4 schools is sufficient to support the children with all the core services without worrying about class size increases, without worrying about enrollment increases. You could have a 5 to 10% annual enrollment increase at K and still sustain the kids for 7 or 8 years without any issue. So it's not an issue closing one school on the south, it's a major issue closing 2 schools on the south. Similarly, on the north, closing one school will cause problems if we have an enrollment increase. If you have enrollment decline, which I've heard people talk about, although it's not supported by recent data, you could close one on the south or on the north if you had decline, but only if you had decline. Otherwise, in about 2 years, you're going to see class sizes significantly above 30 at the upper levels. That's even with the middle school implementation. So my proposal and my discussions with several people is let's look at this holistically. Let's be fiscally responsible, balance the budget this year and next year. We can do that with a very simple approach. You can get $1.3 million out of the closure of one school. You can with negotiations and on contract negotiations and funding and minor service reductions that are not educational outcome related, you can balance the budget, which is a $6.5 million problem each year for the next 2 years. We've already got 6.3 identified, so it's finding $200K in other services. That's not an unachievable goal. What's also very important is the funding side of it. We're working with the city to divert funds, but understanding that the community is making sacrifices for those diversions as well. So diverting funds from the city is a priority decision, and it's a good decision, but it's not the long-term answer to today's problem. We can bridge the gap, as they've said. It's extremely important that we get their help in bridging the gap. About 1.5 to 2 million a year for 2, maybe 3 years, but probably 2 is sufficient. Will get us to the solution. The foundation, which is probably the single best way for us to take local control of our educational system, is doing great this year. We're all working our butts off to go out and knock on doors and make phone calls and get the support of everyone in the community, and it's paying dividends. They're doing a very good job so far, but the 2.5 million goal is achievable. If we keep going after it, we're going to get there. If we get there, we have overachieved with the support of the city. If we can do it again next year, this is not a question. That we have taken control. We've done what the community can be proud of and saved the schools, all of the schools, not just the high school, not just the junior high, but also the elementary schools. We've implemented a fiscally responsible solution in balancing the budget across the board, not just on the backs of the elementary kids and parents. And we've identified a solution that is sustainable, and it gives us the time to really analyze whether this middle school thing is the right strategic decision for our district, or if we really were simply responding to a budget crisis with a simple quick fix that really once we dug into it isn't all that simple, and it's definitely not a fix. It's a strategic direction. If we want to go there, we got to do the due diligence to make sure it's right.
I think as a community, it's more about the celebration. It's about celebrating. Look who came to the table. Look at all their time and energy they gave us. Their parents who want the best for their kids. They're not a different group of people. We didn't hire them to say, would you run the numbers for us? They want to do it for the same reasons we all want to be here. So going forward, regardless of what happens, everyone should appreciate and be considerate to those that tried to help on all levels.